In a significant development, United States President Joe Biden has expressed optimism about a potential ceasefire in Israel's war on Gaza. Speaking in New York on Monday, Biden stated that he hopes for a truce to take effect by next Monday as negotiations intensify to halt hostilities and address the release of captives. Israeli media reported that a military delegation from Israel had flown to Qatar for intensive talks, indicating a possible breakthrough. The negotiations, mediated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, aim to secure a pause in the fighting between Israel and Hamas, allowing aid into Gaza, where 2.3 million people are on the brink of famine. The proposed ceasefire would also facilitate the release of captives held by Hamas in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. President Biden, responding to questions about the timeline for a ceasefire, expressed hope that it could take effect within days. The United States has been increasing pressure on Israel to agree to a truce aiming to prevent a threatened Israeli assault on Rafah, a city in southern Gaza where 1.4 million people, many displaced by war, have sought safety. Some analysts suggest that President Biden's comments might be aimed at voters in Michigan, where presidential primaries are due to be held on Tuesday. Arab and Muslim American voters in the state have pledged to vote uncommitted in protest of Biden's support for Israel. President Biden's remarks followed his national security advisor Jake Sullivan's statement that representatives from Israel, Egypt, Qatar, and the US had discussed the terms of a ceasefire deal in Paris over the weekend, reaching an understanding about the contours of such an agreement. Notably, these talks did not include representatives from Hamas. According to Reuters, citing Egyptian security sources, the Paris meeting will be followed by proximity talks involving delegates from Israel and Hamas, initially in Qatar and later in Cairo. Hamas's political office is located in the Qatari capital, Doha. On Monday in Qatar, the country's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani met with Hamas's political leader Ismail Haniyeh, discussing efforts to reach an immediate and durable ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip. However, Israel continues to publicly assert that it will not end the war until Hamas is eradicated, indicating that its planned assault on Rafah would proceed even if a ceasefire deal is reached. The conflict in Gaza has taken a heavy toll, with Israel's offensive reportedly resulting in the deaths of 29,782 Palestinians since October 7th, when Hamas launched surprise attacks inside southern Israel. In response, 1,139 people were killed in the Hamas offensive, with the armed group also taking around 250 captives in Gaza. According to Israeli officials, during a short-lived ceasefire in November, more than 100 captives were released, but 132 remain in Gaza.